I am a fan. We are waiting on the sheets for the information on these next two players here. Still do not know really anything. We'll be able to change the names as well from Chris and Colton to the actual names of the players once we get the deck registration sheets from the organizers. I would love to take a second here just to thank once again Team Inc. for putting this whole tournament together. Tournament City Games, TCG, also known as, for hosting this event. I have been having a blast. Brohammington, how have you felt about the day as we're watching these players shuffle the cards?
Today's been amazing, man. Been able to hang out with a group of amazing people here in the commentating booth, and we've seen some really good Lorcana play, seen some really spicy stuff on stream, and just overall good games.
Yeah, the drama has been at a maximum. I mean, I don't have the information on these players, but I'm assuming that when we are looking at them, this is going to be a make or break match here because it's getting down to the wire. I took a quick peek at the melee. Only two players have gone undefeated on the day, and that is the two spaghetti lovers themselves, Kurt Spice and Jack Shadows. So, whoever these two players are, somebody in chat is saying, let's go Anthony. So I'll assume one of them is Anthony. Anthony and his opponent are battling it out for a spot in the top 8. We are at round 7 right now, about to be done with the last round of Swiss. After this, the players will only cut to a top 8, not a top 16, a top 8, which is going to be a little tougher. And I am seeing that there is a player named Anthony on
Yep.
Ruby
Ruby
Saf.
Sapphire. Yep.
Oh, one of the matches I was hoping to see today.
Oh
We do
man.
have a Richie on the right here with it looks exactly like an Amber Steel songs.
It is. So this Amber Steel song list is something that I've had my eye on because there's something really interesting that's going on in this list if you haven't seen it. They are playing a one drop location.
Interesting. What is that one drop location? I forget the name of it.
It's
The
it's the
Neverland.
Neverland, right? So it's a one drop location with 4 willpower that lures for 1, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it looks like this list is really spicy and I'm here for it.
Yeah, this
Oh
looks
yeah,
really, really
absolutely.
interesting. Looks like Richie rolled the 7, Chris rolled the 6. So unless they were rolling for low, Richie's going to be starting us off. So the Steel Songs deck will have the initiative on the play first. Looking through the deck, it looks very fun, but it looks like the core is the Steel Songs core. We're going
Right.
into the Aerial Spectacular Singer, hoping to go into the whole new world, doing all of that fun stuff. A few cards, yeah, a few spicy cards that I will let be revealed by the play. But how do you feel about the Steel Song matchup into Ruby Sapphire? Definitely the boogeyman of this current format.
Oh yeah. So this is probably Steel Song's worst matchup, because you're playing a lot of low cost characters that have low willpower or low strength. So it's really good. The big Sisu's put in a lot of work here, and you do have the 3 strength characters, but let's not forget that the Ruby Sapphire lists are now playing Sapphire Coils. So this is going to be a fight for the Amber Steel Song player.
I'll add the added value here that even though Richie is going first, he chucked back 7. So he altered for 7 new cards. So he is now looking at his hand and will have to make a game plan out of the 7 cards he just drew. Definitely not where you want to be when you're especially the underdog in the matchup already. Um
Right. He
man,
and this very well could be Richie knowing exactly what he's playing against and trying to full alter for a guaranteed Steel Song plays the Daisy Ducks. And there we see it on the screen. We ink the strength, we play the Daisy. This is probably one of the strongest openings you can have in this matchup.
I'm seeing two aerials as well. It looks like a Lawrence and a Strength of a Raging Fire, if I'm not mistaken. Anthony, meanwhile, does find the popsicle, so the Scar Curse looks to be maybe broken here. But if Richie takes this one away, we're gonna have to inspect that Scar mat afterwards to see if it's
R-
haunted or not.
Right,
Another Daisy coming down, only utilizing one ink though. Definitely not where you want to be on turn 2 if you are Richie, but not the worst position here. Pass his
right.
turn.
So having the daisy and then another daisy is extremely good in this matchup. Uh, it depends on what we see Anthony do here. We see him ink the Tipo. We're
Hmm
playing the sail. I'm assuming we're gonna ink another card to get to that turn 3 Hiram that Ruby Sapphire loves to do. We do see the big shift Sisu in hand on the far right there.
hmm
So I think at this point we're just gonna try to establish we might try to establish a 3-drop Sisu to open up the shift line on turn 4 or 5.
Okay, and Anthony drops down a Vitalis Sphere, which leads me to believe that we might be seeing a Maui Shark, which is probably bad news bears here for Richie sitting on sitting on a deck whose main way of getting lore is going to be questing out characters, so may stall the game out. Two Daisy's Quest and two oh, I missed the first card that Anthony drew off the top there.
It was Tipo. A Tipo goes to hand and a Sapphire Coil goes to the bottom.
Ah, got you. Tipo not going to be a game-changing card necessarily at this point in the match, but still, even if it's just ink, a little bit of extra value that Richie's giving to Anthony, one of the slight drawbacks of these Daisy Ducks.
So we do
Hmm.
see the Lawrence come into play, and Anthony has put in a coil into the inkwell, and we've seen one go to the bottom. So it is a potential that this Lawrence might be hard to deal with because your Sisu's not going to be able to affect it without either trading into it and then using the Sisu or using a coil to minus the strength by 2.
Exactly. One of the questions I was going to actually ask you, and you just answered it without me even asking you, great job, was what do you think about this playing the Lawrence down instead of the aerial? Because Richie inked the aerial instead, going for this Lawrence here. Oh, and snatching away another valuable card that Anthony probably is pretty upset about in Visions of the Future, hitting the bottom of the deck there. Um, and just like that, Richie at 10 to 0, and Anthony without the Sisu Daring Visitor, the small 3-cost Sisu to shift onto, kind of in a pickle here.
Right, yeah, even with it being able to shift onto the Sisu, like I said, those Lawrences are gonna put in some work because you can't effectively Sisu with Lawrences on field. You clear a Daisy, then the Lawrences are staring at you like, oh yeah, now what?
Exactly. Ruby not necessarily known for the damage that could be done to cleanly take out these Lawrences, because once the Lawrence is damaged, it becomes a 0-4. And now, I mean, Anthony, it's hard for me to know exactly who's in the driver's seat here. Anthony is going to probably 3 for 1 with this Maui after popping the popsicle, but Richie real low on cards, and that seems like a this seems like a not great position to be in. I mean, he did a valiant job of rushing here. Now the question to me is, do you use one of these Lawrences that would quest for 2 and take out the Maui, knowing that he's probably going to pop the popsicle, take out one of the Mauis, or take out one of the Lawrences and then be able to 2-for-1 you? Or is there a better option here? Richie's solo on cards. Ooh, the world's greatest criminal mind coming down to answer the
Oh,
Maui.
absolutely, and um, he still has the aerial and the baritone bully in hand too, so he might be kind of waiting to play the aerial to find a song until after a board wipe, maybe. Or he might just know that, like, hey, these Lawrences aren't gonna go anywhere for a while. I seen you put a coil on the bottom. I seen you put one in the inkwell, and you're gonna have to dig for another coil if you want to deal with the Lawrences, if if that's the route you want to go.
Yeah, and yep, using Vitalisphere with the Tamatoa to take out one of the Lawrences here. One other thing to consider is that with the Vitalisphere, if I'm Richie and I haven't seen any of Anthony's games, I'm going to imagine that I got to be on the lookout for a Shark and Vitalisphere combo. And if they're playing Shark, probably Pirate's Life could be incoming. So something Richie is going to have to look out for, unless Richie has some kind of mechanic in his deck, some kind of spicy tech that will allow him to gain lore immediately, which has been a weakness of Steel Song in the past. Um, I mean, Richie's not out of the woods yet, which is a crazy place to be when you're at 16-0 and saying, but it's not game yet. Just shows the
Right.
power of the Ruby Sapphire decks.
Right. That's the one thing about sitting across from Ruby Sapphire is you constantly have to remind yourself that 16 is not 20. It is it is very possible. It is very possible that Richie does get to 18 or 19 lore, and then Anthony just is able to establish a board
Yep.
and just control every move after that.
The Maui Shark, the Pirate's Life, the mass amount of removal that Anthony has in his deck, could be used. But it looks like, I mean, if I'm just looking at straight body posture, Anthony's shaking his head. I'd be pretty happy if I'm sitting there as Richie, watching
Right.
my Ruby Sapphire opponent shaking his head like that.
Right. And it's also nice to see that, Richie has an aerial and he has a Pete in hand, right? So if he doesn't answer this Lawrence this turn, which he kind of had to do that, right? Or he had to challenge into the Lawrence.
Hmm.
Because if he's able to challenge,
Oh,
and then here comes the let it go to get rid of the baritone bully. Um, but it was one of those things where you have to do that because with the Pete in hand, and I mean, obviously Anthony doesn't know it's there, but it is a possibility that he kind of figured it because
hmm.
if you're able to utilize the baritone bully and the Pete, you can say, hey, no actions, and I'm gonna wheel myself into a new hand, and we can continue this. We can continue this.
Yep, Anthony very smartly letting it go onto the baritone bully, fully aware that Richie low on cards. One of the few ways that Richie is going to be able to pull back and close out this match is the whole new world being sung. Much less efficient, much less powerful. Anthony probably not happy to see that aerial, but as we both know, Ruby Sapphire decks, I mean, man, with this
Oh
much ink out
man,
already, tons of opportunity. I missed it. Did Richie?
Richie played the aerial and whiffed on a song.
Oh
So
no!
that has to give Anthony some hope in this match. Now it's like the card that you needed is now nowhere to be found, and I'll raise you one and just be prep the board. Now you're stuck with two cards, and we'll see what happens. So Pete comes down, no actions for Anthony this turn,
And just
and
like that, Richie's down to playing one single Pete, a baritone bully in hand, but this is not going Richie's way, even at 16-0. Like we were saying, literally 2, 3 turns ago, Anthony has all of the answers, and now with this Hiram Flaversham coming down, the popsicle also in tow. Next turn, he'll be able to pop the popsicle with the Hiram, draw an additional 2 cards, and just like that, Anthony is sitting in the driver's seat. I mean, what a
right.
tough one for Richie to deal with. A real bad set of draws here for Richie. I got to imagine there's many other cards that he wished that he had in these last 3 or 4 turns to close out the game. Richie gonna go
It's
ahead and quest for one.
request for one with the Pete. We're gonna play this baritone bully, and the cool thing about the baritone bully and Pete is they're both 3/3s. So the
Mm-hmm.
big Sisu doesn't do a lot in Anthony's hand right now. So he's almost in a position where he's forced to be prep the board again in order to prevent Richie from going to 19 because there's no other effective way of getting rid of both of these characters.
Yep. So one very, very small silver lining here for Richie is that Anthony did not find the Sapphire Coil, or at the very least has not been able to play one yet. So his 3/3 statted characters are going to be able to survive a whole lot here. Maui coming down, not what you want to see, and Richee's kind of on a clock here. It's oh
This is
boy.
this is the part of the game that it puts you on the edge of the seat, because now it's like I'm wondering if Anthony can actually come back into this game. He has the Maui, he has the Flavor Sham, just played a Sisu, and Richie's over there at 17 lore with a baritone bully in play, and I do believe he has a Rapunzel in hand. So it's one of those things, is like, what do you exactly do with the Gaston here? Do you challenge into the Flavor Sham? Do you quest? Like,
Oh,
okay. So we see the
instead, hardcast the Long Came Zeus and value the one lore over it, but still Richie not in the position where he wants to be. I'm certain of it.
so I think what's going through Richie's mind now is, you might have the big Sisu, but you're gonna have to shift and challenge the Gaston, which opens up the door for the Rapunzel to come down, and then if you can't answer the single princess, then it's gonna be the game's gonna be over.
Yeah, I mean, it's another Maui.
But
And this
we do see Anthony has all the answers for everything that Richie's trying to do on the opposite. We do see the Sisu though.
Mhm. Meanwhile,
We have
Richie at 18-5, but and yet somehow Anthony has come out of this looking like the one who's going to win this game. Oh, 4 down for a Rapunzel, you get no value off of. And it is a must answer card, but Anthony's got a ton of cards in his deck
I
that
don't
can
think he has it.
answer this. Oh my gosh. He's
I don't
smiling.
Does he have it? He doesn't have it yet. You have to be able to answer this
Oh,
Rapunzel or the game's gonna be over.
he doesn't have it. He can still play a popsicle. He'd have to find like exactly Brawl here.
He's got to find a Brawl, a little Sisu. He hasn't inked for turns, so that's good to know. He
Sapphire
quests with the
Coil.
so he quests with the Flavor Sham. He draws 2 more.
Mm-hmm,
He's looking
mm-hmm.
through the discard. Does he have it?
JDZ in chat is saying he got to the Brawl, but let's see. Pirate's Life also not a bad one. However, will he? Yeah. The Sisu would be able to sing the Pirate's Life. The Brawl is found in the. Oh! Richie bleeding a slow death here because he's going to be able to get to 19 with that Cinderella. However, I
Oh
mean,
my.
you don't want your opponent at 19 no matter what deck you're playing.
Oh no,
But
not at all.
against Steel Song, not a bad one. There is a Shift Cindy line here, is JDZ Quest is pointing out in the chat.
Is
Commentating side by side and casting with us, even though he's given us full reins. Even though
what are we? We're going to 19. What do we got in hand?
Pete, not a bad
Oh
card
my
either.
gosh.
Pete, kind of a
So
great card.
so our opponent can't dig for anything. You have to have a coil plus something to get rid of the peat. They're gonna
Sapphire
quest
Coil plus exactly like a Sisu, I think. I think that's the only
Sisu
combination.
Brawl. I don't know if Anthony is playing Madame Medusa's, but Madame Medusa could take out the peat here.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yep.
Looks like we're gonna keep
Ramatala's
digging with the
coming.
grandma.
And
It
this
is
is
work.
just what Ruby Sapphire does. Yes, way El Belchi. He did top deck the Pete.
You can't B prep the board.
Mm-mm. You
You
can't
can't you
Pirate's Life.
you can't Pirate's Life. You can't Visions. It would feel really bad for Anthony if he has to B prep here. Oh my gosh, he
And he
found a
has the
Maleficent
Maleficent.
dragon. Oh,
Oh, this is getting nasty here as we are looking at let's see, what's on board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 lore. So if Richie does not have any way to gain lore here, which I don't believe there is even an answer in the deck for, then it's over. He has to scoop 19.
Oh my gosh. That was quite the nail biter of a game there. Richie almost pulling that out with the Pete, but Anthony was able to dig and find the Maleficent Dragon.
I mean, this is what a testament to Ruby Sapphire not having the start that they want, not getting exactly the cards that they need. Steel Song on the play, going first, going aggro, having 2 daisies out, getting two of the Lawrences out, and it's still not enough. It's still
Yeah,
not enough. Ruby Sapphire looking to take over this meta right now, right here. We'll see. Go Anthony for sure. A very, very smart player to have played to every single out. It got scary at times, but he kept his composure. I mean, Brohammington, what does Richie do different here? What's the thought here?
yeah, Brent, it's so hard. It's so hard to say because Richie played a tight ship that game. He played really tight. Uh, maybe playing an aerial a little sooner to try to find the whole new world so you can, keep your hand filled up. You can keep playing threats. Hopefully, you can wheel answers out of your opponent's hand. Um, but I mean, really, that's all you can. That's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, I'm reading chat right now, and I mean there was a fair amount of luck on Anthony's side as well that Richie was not able to, draw into anything more substantial. Also missing on that aerial was
Right.
humongous. Purple Turtle
Yeah.
points out. But
Yeah.
Anthony, with a big fan following here in the chat, everybody seems to be rooting for Anthony. Richie, meanwhile, I'm sure to any Ruby Sapphire we'll call them haters out there, easy quests, probably rooting for Richie here. So
Right. Yeah. It's like I think it's yeah. Like I said, it's so hard to like exactly know what Richie needs to do different. Maybe just get luckier with the aerials. But that's just part of the steel song game. Sometimes you roll high, and sometimes the casino doesn't pay out.
that's exactly it. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately where it's like, if you draw well and Ruby Sapphire doesn't draw that well, you're sometimes able to, take them down. They don't get quite the combo that they need, and then you think, okay, well, other decks are much more viable. But taking it the step further, if you don't draw well and the other player doesn't draw well, Ruby
Yeah.
Sapphire is probably going to end up winning that because because the longer the game takes, if you didn't draw well, the more the more chances they have. So there's one scenario where Ruby Sapphire is going down, two scenarios where Ruby Sapphire is probably going to beat you, even if you both draw exactly what you need, or if you
Right.
both don't draw what you need. It's I mean, how do we combat this meta, bro? That's the question. It's looking
Um.
unstoppable.
The so Ward is really good right now.
I
Uh,
hear you on that train.
but
Richie, meanwhile, I think just pitched back all seven. I believe Anthony also pitched back all seven.
I think Richie kept two cards. I think I
Oh,
think I think he kept a turn one daisy in his hand. I think he might have pitched everything else. I did
gotcha,
see a day.
gotcha.
I did see a daisy in his opening hand, and I don't imagine a world where you don't keep that in this matchup.
He was very slick with the card handling. Props to Richie. Great,
Yeah,
great deck technique.
yeah,
Let's see.
yeah. Look at him shuffle. What a guy!
I know. Oh, smiles on both the players' faces, good times, good vibes all around, even with
Right.
everything on the line here. For anybody just joining us, let me recap this for you. Anthony on the left on Ruby Sapphire, Richie on the right, playing the standard, Steel Songs deck. One of these players is probably going to make it to the top 8. One of these players will not. So there is everything on the line here.
Oh my.
And
We
you
see the
you say
turn
it.
one. We see the turn one daisy from Richie. We pass it over to Anthony, who inks a Tamatoa 6 drop and passes turn.
The
and
Scar Curse. It's
and then
back.
we follow it up with a turn 2 Smee, which is which is really good. It sets up a Rapunzel if he has. I don't know if he has a Rapunzel, but here in a couple turns, if he draws into one or what have you, he might be able to play the Rapunzel, heal damage to Smee, and just keep the lore train going.
Sapphire Coil is going to come down. However, that means that that Anthony will not be ramping on this turn. Probably pretty upsetting not being able to go into Hiram next turn. Meanwhile, ooh, Richie presenting some dangerous characters on board while giving a Maleficent to Anthony from the Daisy Duck here.
Right. Yeah, so we got the Daisy, Smee, and Lawrence, which is one of the absolute best curves that Steel Song can possibly see. If they're not playing Ariel on turn 3, Lawrence is probably the second best card in this situation. And we see the ink come through. The Sisu, the coil is gonna minus the Smee. Sisu 3 drop's gonna come down and take out the Smee, and then we're gonna pass it back on over to Richie.
Yeah, and this game starting off completely different just in the fact that the Smee was able to come down and it wasn't another Daisy Duck that Richie was able to utilize most of his ink here. Um, let the Storm Rage on taking out that Sisu, preventing the Sisu shift line in the future. Very, very good here. And now just like that, Richie up to 10 with more cards in his hand than he had last game at this turn. So
Right. Yeah. So we do see him hard cast the strength there, which is or the storm there, which is really interesting because Lawrence could have sang it and potentially played a couple more characters to board. Um, but that not what's going through Richie's head, and he probably has a plan for it. So we'll see what happens.
yeah. Now on turn 4, what is the play? I think I do see the Bianca, the new Bianca that allows you to play for 4 instead of for 6. And
Right.
I got to
Yeah. Yeah.
imagine that that's what's coming down because there is an ally card. Oh no! Instead, Richie says, let's get rid of that Grammatala. I don't want her singing any of that how far I'll go nonsense. Very heads up play.
So we see the let it go to the bottom of the deck, which is good news for Richie. That means that Bianca won't be able to be sung on whenever it does come into play. It is very good that Bianca is technically a 6 drop, but most of the time is a 4 drop and is able to sing Whole New World. So I mean that could play very well into Richie's hand. It also sets up really good Rapunzel traps too.
Yeah, the only thing is with that Bianca, it only triggers that effect when there is an ally character on board. I believe Lawrence is the only one that is actually an ally character. You also just gave Anthony a Maui, which Richie cannot be happy to see here. Another Maui hitting the board would be pretty brutal, especially for a deck that is going to be gaining its lore mostly by questing only. So now Richie in a position where he has to make some choices, some very, very hard choices here.
Right. Yeah. So we have the Lawrence. I think we had a baritone bully in hand too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bianca or Daisy Duck is also an ally. So
Oh, is she?
she is, yes. I think Smee, Lawrence, and Daisy are the 3 allies in the deck that can trigger Bianca's reduction text.
Ah, thank you so much for letting me know that. Learned a new thing.
But
Meanwhile,
we,
that Maui taking out that Daisy Duck, getting the nice clean 2-for-1 here,
oh
and
yeah,
Anthony with seemingly unlimited cards in hand.
right. Yeah, there's a lot of cards in Anthony's hand here, and we've seen this last game. 16 is not 20, and we're starting to get into that range of, um, you know, we
Ah,
have six ink. We got the Grandma Tyler goes to the inkwell. Sapphire Coil reduces Lawrence, and then we see the brawl come through.
yikes. And now the Great Stone Dragon is going to be able to take the characters from the discard and and once per turn allow Anthony to ink something, activating that Sapphire Coil with the option of using it again if he wants to ink an additional. And this is just gonna cut the legs from underneath Richie. You can see it on his face. He's
R- Right, we
he's
have
none too happy.
right. We still have the Bianca, and we have an Along Came Zeus in hand. It looks like. Um, but I don't imagine that either one of those are exactly what you want to see right now.
No, 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 no. I mean, if Richie one card, that's the thing with Richie's deck. If he can top deck a whole new world and he's able to keep this Gaston alive, then the hopes and dreams are still going. But if he's not able to, if this
Right.
Gaston does not stick to board, I'm gonna call it almost game over here.
Right. You know, and with the Sapphire Coil already reducing the Gaston's strength by 2, all Anthony needs to do is sneeze and the Gaston's going to go away.
Yeah, because we're talking at Sisu Daring Visitor. We're talking about Brawl. We're talking about even, is there enough ink? Doesn't look like there's enough ink for a Madame Medusa right now, but many, many options. Sisu, yep,
Yep.
Daring
That's
to visit.
yeah, that's kind of what we talked about earlier is like Sapphire Ruby being able to play, you know, 15 Dragonfires in the deck.
Yikes. You hate to see somebody play a Rapunzel without getting any draw off of it because you know that
Right.
that's desperation mode to the maximum. How far I'll go, only allowing Anthony to pull ahead even more.
Right. Yeah,
I
so
mean, mhm.
we're gonna put a card in the hand. We're gonna put a card in the inkwell. We're gonna give Rapunzel -4 strength,
Yep.
and I'm assuming that we're looking for something to remove the Rapunzel so he doesn't accumulate another couple lore here. But it's
I think Anthony probably already has the answer. He just is he's just playing all the draw and doing it out. I do see a big Sisu. Yep, an empowered sibling coming down, questing for 3, gonna put
uh,
Anthony on the board and probably firmly in control of this match.
right, you know, and it's like we this the notable difference from this game and the previous game is Anthony has 2 Sapphire coils established on the board. So even removing the Sisu here doesn't feel the greatest because the Great Stone Dragon can put one of those characters into the inkwell, give something -4 strength, and then you can play, you know, Brawl, Sisu, Madame Medusa, any of your other removal characters or spells, and we do see a half shark come down here.
Yeah, and Richie's nodding in agreement. He knows that the writing is on the wall here, and the writing is not positive. It is firmly that Anthony is probably about to very slowly just keep removing whatever it is that Richie puts down and then slowly questing upwards. Richie, without really any answers, without any way to draw any cards, no way to get any real value off of the Rapunzel nor the Neverland, and which leaves just alone, yep, Zeus Bolt to take out the Maui Shark,
Right, and then
and
we're just
Richie
gonna
passes.
and, and we're just gonna pass it back over. We have a Rapunzel in hand and a Neverland, and neither of those cards really do a lot right now. Where
It
Anthony
is,
has the
yep. Sorry, go ahead.
where where Anthony has the Hiram still established on the board. It's still the same Hiram that he played 3 turns ago. Is going to be able to visions for his game ender. He's going to be able to draw some more cards, and things are not looking good for Richie here.
Not at all. Anthony playing the Ruby Sapphire deck extraordinarily well, knowing exactly what cards he needs, knowing exactly the ink counts he needs to keep pulling off the plan. And he's done an excellent job of just removing Richie's board slowly but surely, overtaking it. That Maui coming down, and then and then Richie using that Daisy Duck to quest, putting another Maui into the hand of Anthony just started to spell disaster. And now we're looking at a happy as a clam come down. I mean, popsicle popping, and what do we even do? Hiram gonna probably draw another 2 cards off that popsicle.
Right. So I there's still quite a bit of game left here. If Richie can find a whole new world like relatively soon, then you might be able to, you know, flood the board a little bit and force another Sisu or a Be Prepared or something like that. but it's gonna be 16's not 20. You're up there in lore. You really need to hope for. He
Something
drew a
that's not a Cinderella, a
oh,
ballroom sensation. Oh.
so
You're
rough.
hitting your one cost this late in the game against Ruby Sapphire, and this is just not Richee's day. Richie playing this extraordinarily well. I mean, I want to give credit to both these players. They know what they're doing. There's a reason why they're here and why they are so close to contention for that top 8 spot, but sometimes it is just the luck of the draw, and Richie finding himself on the poorer man's side of that luck. Just, oh boy, against a deck that will punish you mercilessly if you don't draw the cards that you need.
Absolutely. I mean, he could have drew almost anything in the deck, and it would have been better than Cinderella.
I agree. Maybe
But
not
it
another
was
Neverland, but
yeah.
but
But
I see your point.
you
Thank
know,
goodness,
y-
the
uh,
Neverland that I was hoping for.
yeah, just gonna drop both of these. Do
Yeah.
something about it.
Your move. Oh man, Anthony coming down just with another popsicle. It's getting comical at this point, man. I mean, Richie just in it for the pain. I get it. Sometimes you want to sit there, close out the game. You don't give up until the last possible moment. If he's able to top deck a whole new world on this next turn, there's maybe something that can be done. But again, the Amber Steel song's really, really struggling with instant lore gain, and that's just the bread and butter for Ruby Ruby Sapphire to be able to just keep removing everything that you want to put on board. Two T-pos meanwhile coming down, slap in the face to JDZ Quest on this stream, on his own stream. Two T-pos in one turn.
We do play a Bianca here for the full value of ink. So if 6 drop 5/5 quest for 1. If you control an ally, you can pay 2 less, but there are no allies on Richie's side of the board. In fact, there's nothing on Richie's side of the board aside from this Bianca.
Yep,
But
Anthony at
but
9.
it does set up a singer if Richie can find a whole new world. That's we have not seen a whole new world in either game for Richie. It is worth saying that. So this could be the potential curse of the Maribel.
The Mirabelle giveth and the Mirabelle taketh. Oh,
she
JDZ in
give
chat upset about the
absolutely.
T-pose. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're completely fine. So it's the Maribel giveth the popsicles, the Maribel giveth or taketh away the whole new worlds here. And the look on Richie's face is telling us that this game is probably over.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Richie's had the same face for the last. It's getting comical now. Anthony just pulling ahead even further when he doesn't need it. Pirate's life comes down, and oh boy, yeah,
I think
it looks
Richie's
like
just yeah. I think Richie was just or I think Anthony was just trying to close the game out.
yeah.
It's like sometimes you have to jump through some unnecessary hoops to make that happen. Playing
Richie
red blue.
Richie looking through his deck saying, "Where were the whole new worlds?" I, honestly, if a whole new world was played on either of these two games, I think that the entire game would look completely different. I think that Richie could have eked out a win um um on either of these games, but just a rough draw for Richie. Not to take away anything from Anthony. Anthony definitely coming through, playing
Right.
extraordinarily well. Just a tough matchup for Richie on top of the lack of whole new worlds, and Richie's gonna call it a day. It looks like. Welcome back,
Dude,
JDZ. Color is law. What did you think of that game?
dude, that was very upsetting to watch. That was painful to watch. And just seeing there, watching Richie chase the dragon, man. You're chasing the dragon. You think you got it. You're so close. You can reach out there and touch it, and then the rug just gets pulled right from beneath your feet, man. That was really
Unfortunately, the only dragon coming down in that game was Maleficent,
and
and
Sisu and little
snatching
Sisu,
away.
which is it was just brutal to sit
She's
there and
still a
watch that.
dragon. still counts.
Yeah, Sisu's and even the human Sisu is still a dragon, I believe.
As I say,
Yeah.
human Sisu's still a dragon, still counts.
Which is nuts, man. That is so hard to watch. But we do have interviews. I think we're gonna be able to get Anthony. Anthony had a lot of fans out there in the chat. A lot of people were supporting Anthony out there. So I think we're gonna have if Brent and Brohammington, if you guys are still down, go do the interview on Brent before you have to take off, and then we'll set that up, and then we'll probably take a small no breaks. We'll just hang out and get ready to go into the top 8, and we can do that. So I'll set up the interview. It's gonna be Brohammington and Brent going in. So give me a sec. Let me set this up. I'm trying to cook over here.
You cook.
I'm cooking.
You cook, JDZ.
I'm gonna keep
Whatever
cooking.
you need. Anthony, by the way, just to speak to Anthony's skill, his willpower, his ability broke the Scar curse. The Ruby Sapphire Scar curse was broken by sheer willpower of Anthony here. So we got to give props.
That is pretty impressive. He was able to come through and drew some popsicles. I saw it. He was cooking. He got the 2-0 win. But granted, this is probably the worst matchup that Richie could have ever asked to potentially face. The matchup has always been abysmal for the Amber Steel player. And then you extrapolate that with they didn't really get anything to help close that gap, and Sapphire got even stronger. But we're going to kick it over to the interview. We got Brent Brohammington talking to Anthony. Here it is.
Anthony.
Hey, guys.
How did that matchup feel, Anthony? You seen your opponent take off to a fast start there, get up to 16 to 18 lore, and what was going through you? What were you thinking about whenever that was going on?
Par for the course, right? It's Amber Steel. My wife plays Amber Steel, so I play that literally every day. And 18 is not 20, 19 is not 20, right? So just do what you can. Make sure you order all your cards right. I know chat's probably cooking me because I top tick Be Prepared in game 1. I think he would have won if I didn't get that because I did have the Sisu, but I mean he went to 19, so
Oh,
he
you
got
top
more lore.
decked that Be Prepared. What a moment. Oh,
Yeah.
we didn't even see it's hard to see the hands. We don't have the hand cam like we normally would. But actually, Anthony, the exact opposite. People in this chat going crazy for you. Sakura is still says, no, Anthony, you are boy. We got Captain Metroidica saying, what? That's one sexy man who won and is being interviewed. We got a lot of Anthony fans here, Anthony. And I got one question for you about Ruby Sapphire in particular into this meta here. Seems like you are somewhat of an expert. One question that was posed by Artibax on the Articast was, what is Ruby Sapphire's weakness? Is there a deck that you feel like you struggle into? Is there anything at all? Or is it pretty much across the board a 50-50 or better?
I mean, what version of Ruby Sapphire are you playing? Right? Like
Yours.
that's well, if I'm playing mine, oh my God, are people watching that are playing right now?
Okay.
No. I'd
don't
probably
need
say the discard stuff, like the yellow. There was a couple Diablo Amber discard, and man, if they just high roll a little bit, sometimes you're just left with no hand, and you're like, all right, I guess this is it. So I got a little bit lucky. Didn't have to dodge a bunch of the Diablos, and obviously steel, blue steel items is pretty tough. But I am running the Emperor build that I saw in Lore 20 Discord. So I have 4 Cuscos because I thought there was gonna be a lot of that here.
Interesting. It is good to know that, and I'm sure it's healthy for the meta for one deck to not just be steamrolling every single deck in the path. So thank you so much for letting us in on your brain a little bit there. Brohammington, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, it's so when you're sitting down from Amber Steel Song, right? And your opponent sees no whole new worlds. That has to be like a sigh of relief whenever they get to the 16, 18 lore. They have no whole new worlds. They can't replenish their hand. So when they don't have those and you can keep their singers off the board, that has to feel pretty good, right?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely just first time tournament luck right there, where it's like, hey, here's a little hand for helping. But I think I positioned pretty well in game 1. If you saw, like, I played a little Sisu for no effect, assuming I was talking to him. I assumed he had a whole new world the whole time. He was just waiting for a singer to stick so he could, get the board and then get the lore out. So I had the little Sisu out in case I drew into a big Sisu, right? Like, And I definitely made a huge misplay with inking that coil thing. Oh, I'm gonna get another one because I do run
Right.
4, and he binned one with Daisy, and I was like, uh-oh. So
I-
I mean, yes, it was lucky, but at the same time, like, you in your back of your mind when you're inking and you're doing stuff, you're thinking, okay, if I whole new world, I'm red blue, baby. I got 7 new cards.
Right.
Let's go. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That's sometimes playing red blue, you're kind of waiting for your opponent to do that. You're
Mhm.
just like you get yeah, maybe you have 2 cards in hand because you got really greedy with your inking or whatever. But knowing your opponent plays a whole new world, you're just daring them to a whole new world at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, could they win the game? Sure, absolutely. You don't know what flavor that they're playing, right? I thought he was more on a mid-range as opposed to a faster one. So, I don't know what he has in his deck, right? It's not open deck list or anything like that. So you just hope for the
Right.
best and position yourself as best you can with as much ink as you can.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what we've seen too. It is like whenever you ink the first coil, I didn't really think of anything about it because I did see your deck list and I know how many you're on.
Mm,
I won't tell any I'm not gonna say that. But
sure.
and then we seen the second one go to the bottom, and then I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
and then because he follows it up with a Lawrence Pete, right? And you're like, oh my,
Well, I
Mhm.
I mean, I think these are good examples of why Ruby Sapphire should still run 5-drop Mauis. Like, they're just heavy lifters into shenanigans. You don't know what's going on. And you're like, all right, I'll drop a Maui. And now you got coil, so it survives even longer. Popsicle that Maui, so he has to use 2 songs or a Zeus to get rid of it. So I was a little surprised when he Zeused my Maui Shark. I thought I had the game a little bit earlier because he had already played 2. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun.
On
right
that
on.
first game, it looked like you were just walking on that wire. What a thrill. Dude, I'm curious, did you draw into the Maleficent Dragon to take out the Pete? Or did you have it in your hand the whole time? Or do you remember?
Oh no, I was digging, right? Like, if you watch back, like, I
Yeah.
dug through, I don't know, a popsicle or a Hiram, Tala, right? But I knew I had 2 dragons left, and I didn't. So there's a good chance I hit it, right? Like, obviously the percentages weren't crazy, but that's what I was looking for. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just got lucky, right? That's just Lorcana, baby.
It's
That's trading card games in general. I thought that
yeah.
you were just doing your due diligence and drawing the cards and you had it the whole time. I was
No,
I
no.
was thinking you were like, okay, let me draw out this soul suck I'm about to do to my opponent. But I want to make sure that you have some adequate time to rest up and get ready. Brohammington, was there anything else that you wanted to ask?
Yeah. Is there any shout outs you want to give? We'll go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. First Capital Gaming in Hagerstown and my Inkatink crew. Everybody from there. Wish you guys were here. Love playing with you all. And to my wife Kate, who allows me to play Lorcana all the time. And one of my friends, Matt, who taught me how to play Red Blue. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I think a lot of them are actually in the chat, man, cheering you on. So break a leg in the rest of the tournament. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.